Flight attendants of Reddit, what happens when you suspect people of having sex in the bathroom of the plane and how often does that happen? I caught two little people having sex in the photo booth at my bar. We had to lift them out by hand because they were so drunk. They were completely naked. It doesn't happen that often because the lavatories are gross and you should never touch anything or you will get chlamydia and die. Also, maybe it's just me, but since no one looks at the occupied sign if whoever is in there remembers to lock it at all, I instinctively tell people there's someone in there whenever they approach. So it's possible people have tried, and I unwittingly kill the mood, and then they have to stand in my galley in utter shame waiting for the bathroom that they don't even have to use as I munch, oblivious, on my salad until their partner comes out and the two have to have a conversation about the failed event using only their eyes. Mile High Cock Block. Not a flight attendant but a pilot. I've been flying for a few years and luckily haven't had anything of the sort. Closest I've personally had was a flight attendant get unwelcome touches from a drunk passenger. It's mildly satisfying having charges pressed and the customer service folks informing that passenger who had hundreds of thousands of miles and enormous status with the airline lose all of that and banned from flying with us on top of it all. Everyone forgets that cabin altitude of airliners is 6 to 8 kft and the light mild hypoxia means alcohol affects you significantly more than on the ground. The trick is not to sexually assault people even when you're drunk. It wasn't sex but I actually had a flight attendant introduce me to a guy the first dated for 3 years. We were flying out of a war area and I had an entire row to myself. It was a dry contract so the second we were wheels up from the last post everyone was ordering beer and or liquor. I was listening to music and felt someone watching me. So I turned to my left and see this super cute guy holding 6 beers. He told me the flight attendant only agreed to give him that many if he would come up to my row and share them with me. I looked back at the flight attendant and he was giving me a thumbs up. He sat down and then we dated for years. He actually sent me a photo of him and the same flight attendant a couple of years ago. Not sex but my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, is an extremely nervous flyer. The slightest air turbulence and she will tense. We were on a flight from Dallas to Minneapolis and we had to land in a thunderstorm due to we were getting low on fuel. Our plane was bucking like a horse. People screaming and praying. My poor wife was nearly in hysterics so I rubbed that bean until she forgot all about our impending death. Improvise. Adapt and overcome people. The girl has to hitch up her skirt, knickers off, and jump up and wedge her bum on the edge of the sink. Then just like peeing in the Antarctic, the deed needs to be done quickly. It happened to me, flying JFK to Madrid. After the meal, lights went down for movies and rest. I was very junior and kept walking the aisles for waters, napkins, etc. Saw this young lady go to the lav and 2 minutes later a guy went into same lav. I told a senior FA asking what to do and he said, nothing, let them have fun. After, she went back to the seat with the smile and he went back completely paranoid if someone saw him or not. Women are brave than us on things like this lol. When I served breakfast to them, I gave her a big smile. After that, I never said anything about it but do know, most of the time the crew is aware of it. Great memories from great days. It's mental to me that, in TV shows like Friends, the characters are willing and sometimes able to do it in all kinds of public places. Is it just because they don't last very long? Do they have no shame? I feel like it's one of those things that only happens in TV shows, but they pretend like it's a common and relatable issue. My wife and I had a whirl in the Kmart changing rooms years ago. We were in a competition for a trophy for the most public place. We lost. Never tried. But read that it's easier to dirty spoon under blankets on a red eye than use the tiny bathroom. It doesn't happen much at all. Way too cramped. Unless you luck out on a mostly empty plane. I read this thread, and scrolled down to see this. Anyways, the crew itself is the biggest club. Pilot here. Once heard our senior cabin crew bang the door and shout in her thick Irish accent, "If I'm not getting any, yous too sure as hell aren't. Get out and sit down." I am a flight attendant for an international airline. Sadly, it doesn't happen that often, and what happens will very much depend on the day. If it's on a narrow-body single-aisle aircraft, your chances of this are practically zero. It's too busy and there are not enough bathrooms. On a larger aircraft is where the fun begins. I've never had anyone brazen enough to ask. But don't think we won't find out. As another poster has said, we're never too far from the toilets usually and also check them regularly. So don't think we won't find out. There are times when I've been too busy to give a shit. However, with a bit more time, if possible, we're going to make the most of it and call throughout the plane to let all the other crew know what's going on, and at least we'll be listening to the awkward knocks and stifled whimpers through that flimsy door and having a good giggle behind your back. I've brought down champagne from business before for a frisky couple after the fact. She turned bright red, but he seemed pretty impressed with himself. I've also flown with a terrible square who knocked down the door and ruined the party. So I guess the answer is YMMV. We also know what's going on when two people are sharing a blanket across seats. You are surrounded by the elderly, children, etc. Don't be a douche. Additionally, I would like to add that the toilets are absolutely disgusting, even when they have just been cleaned. The cleaning crew are under tight deadlines just like everyone else. Even in this COVID world, money comes first and time is money. Pet peeve: do not wear socks to the bathroom. You wouldn't do it in any other public bathroom where people have pissed or shat all over the floor. If you want some real juicy stories, look for what FAs get up to on their downtime. How the hell can you fit two people in an airplane bathroom? You stick one inside the other. Russian nesting passengers, if you will. I fly for a really big international airline, so I had chance to see people from all over the world. Still, I can say it doesn't happen that much. What happens, how I react, depends on the flight, passengers and their previous attitude. Mostly, I just knock the door and mind my own business if they don't disturb others. The main problem is in case of emergency or sudden turbulence, lovebirds will almost certainly get hurt, and there is no way I can explain to the company how I let it happen. Nobody wants to do it for that minor thing, but on paper, the passengers can be picked up by airport police and charged even. I knew a person who had sex once. I was 17 and my girlfriend was 15. We were traveling across states and my girlfriend felt sick and ran to the bathroom. She was taking a while, so I went to check on her, but a guy was waiting to use the bathroom. I asked if I could check on her. I knocked, and when she opened the door, the guy started clapping like I won an award. When I told him she was sick, he smiled like he didn't believe me. I went in, gave my girlfriend some water, walked out with her. Guy was a pervert. It's not hard to sneak in there, but I was not about that. Hey, not Air Marshal John. Wanna go to the restroom and not rest? I barely have space to piss or turn around in those tiny bathrooms, let alone get jiggy with it. Honestly, it sounds so uncomfortable. A friend was telling me his experience like it was the best thing he's ever done, and I was just thinking about how many times he probably hit his head on the ceiling. Lol. Join them. Before you join them, you have to loudly stomp up to the scene, look shocked with your hands on hips, shake your head in disbelief, and then gradually begin to touch yourself while practically looming in the doorway. If you follow the above steps, you are rendered completely invisible to the offenders for 5 minutes or so, or until you wordlessly join them. Serious answer: not very often. How do we react? It depends. If they are first-class passengers, you pretend you don't see. I once had a couple ask me if they both could use it together. Confused, I asked why. He gave me a wink and said it is on their bucket list. This couple was in their late 50s. I informed him, only one person is allowed inside at any given time, and if I see them enter together, I would have to stop them. However, I will be leaving for 15 minutes now. They did the deed and thanked me. I'm all about helping people tick off their bucket lists. Not a flight attendant, but after flying a few times plus watching that one episode of 1000 Ways to Die, I don't think it is worth the discomfort and apparently small chance of dying to join the Mike High Club. Not to mention the door is basically cardboard thin, and with our luck my husband's ass would end up going through it and blowing our secret. Okay, not completely related, but my sister was in the bathroom on a flight and the captain announced, "Ladies and gentlemen, we will be experiencing some slight turbulence." Suddenly the plane dropped, then shuddered and stabilized. I don't know what the hell kind of turbulence that was. All I know is I heard the most blood-curdling scream come from the bathroom. My sister comes out of the bathroom like she had just looked into the eyes of death. I suppose she thought we were crashing, lol. When she sat down, she informed me that she had just fallen off the toilet. So it's safe to say I will never attempt to join the Mile High Club. Just imagine. The logistics of this seem mind-boggling. I can barely close the door while avoiding pee splatter and fluids on the side of the toilet. I guess I'm just too grossly uncoordinated to ever be in the Mile High Club. I just can't fathom how to fit all 6 of us in the bathroom. The only Mile High Club I'm a part of is the one in Modern Warfare 1. I never get this. On every flight I've been on, there's always lineups for the bathroom, and flight attendants nearby. How do 2 people get in there unnoticed? I think the original Mile High Club was meant to be exclusive because it's difficult to do. I wonder if the term was originally meant more for private jets.